Hello there everyone, and welcome to round 8 of the CRS British Touring Car Championship. This time round we're at the Thruxton Motor Circuit, which is the fastest in the UK. Your pole sitter would be MBG in his Vauxhall Cavalier, closely followed by Kittu just a 10th behind once again in another Cavalier. Blank would be third in his Renault 19 after his previous victory, and Fapster would be fourth in his Ford Mondeo. I would be fifth in my Peugeot 405, and Jaden would be sixth in his BMW E36. Method would bring up 7th place in the next of the Renault 19s, and CRS also in the next of the BMWs would bring up 8th. Bowtie would get his best qualifying position of 9th, Dominos Kellerman would return to the league and get P10, No Fridge in the first of the Listerine BMWs would be 11th, and Rusty with a grid place penalty would bring up the rear of the field in his Vauxhall Sport Vauxhall Cavalier. So off the line, as per usual, the rear wheel drive cars are going to get a much better start than the front wheel drive ones. However, a little bit of chaos even before turn 1 ensued between me, Jaden and Blank, which also involved some of the cars a little bit further back down the field, but most of us managed to get through clean and power down into the first of the complex section. I had Jaden down my inside. We make a little bit of contact from where he clips the inside curb, but he's still going to hold it round the outside, but with the position that I'm in, I'm able to get the undercut out of the corner as Jaden just puts 2 wheels onto the grass, and that sends him off wide. MBG then still leading the race from pole, very closely followed by Kittu with Fapster in third. I would now be 4th. As we take a look at the replay of the start, you can see that me and Jaden just both go for the same gap, which Jaden then gets sent into the side of Blank, and then I believe it's No Fridge further back just gets collected and all of that as well. So you can see it was really just a racing incident. Me and Jaden both going for the same gap. Neither of us were going to let out, and unfortunately for Blank, it would put him quite a way back down the grid. So, going round the far section for the first time on cold tyres is always a little bit sketchy, but everyone seemed to do pretty nice as Jaden's having a look down the inside of one of the Renault cars of Method, manages to get the manoeuvre done in the background there. As the first 3 go through, Kitty taking a very interesting line as CRS is also able to get past the Renault of Method in his BMW, following in Jaden's footsteps. As we have a look at Blank here, who's now going to be able to get the undercut on Dominon Kos out of the chicane. This would be on board with Kittu, who now have Fapster in front of him after a slight mistake, and Kittu would be right on his tail. However, after Kittu's mistake, I was now right with the Group 2 as we all powered down through the fastest section of the track. A brilliant little corner that. Now, I was having a look down the inside here, but with this only being lap 2, I was going to stay behind and just see if there were any mistakes in front or any battles that I could utilise off of. And Kittu going down the inside of Fapster was exactly what I needed to be able to catch up to them. So I get it as wide as I possibly can on corner entry to slingshot it out the corner, and we briefly go 3 wide just about, coming down the straight. Now I know I'm not going to be able to hold it around the outside. Fapster drifts out wide. I let out the power to allow him to do so, but now I've got a much better angle out of this corner than Fapster does, using a little bit small curb than I'd probably like to, and I was all the way in the slipstream down the back straight, but I wouldn't have to wait too much longer to gain positions as MPG and Fapster would take a little bit too much excess off of the chicane, and that would see them get time penalties. Now they were both taking it very cautious after those penalties, and this was allowing Jaden in his Team Dynamics BMW to catch up to the back of them. Coming down into the complex section, these 3 were now very close to battle for 3rd position. Of course, points at this point for Jaden are very vital, as he's only a few behind at this point in the race, being in, what's that, 6th position I believe it would be, is not going to be ideal for him in points. So as soon as possible he wants to get past Fapster, and that indeed is going to be the case. He tries for the outside round the sweeping left-hander, gets a massive slide on trying to correct the car. Obviously you don't want to really be taking too much speed at the incorrect angle going through there. This would be on board with Blank on his charge back up through the field. Frosty would cut the chicane a little bit too much and get a penalty. Maybe not exactly realise, as that would send him back to the pits being disqualified. So your race leader then is Kitu in his Vauxhall Sport Cavalier. I would be following him round in my Peugeot 405, and here would be the battle for third. MBG has now pulled a little bit of a gap over Fapster, and they're both pulling away from Jaden combined, but Method in his Renault 19 is slowly reeling them in. Then there would be Sculleris in his Schnitzer BMW, and Blank in his Harlow Motorsport Renault 19 would be closing in fast too. On board with Fapster here, a rather interesting part of MBG's internet is sometimes it will like to do that, which I don't know if it was just on my end. However, I'm sure I would have been a bit scared, and I believe after running so deep into the first corner of the complex section, he must have got a time penalty, as he's now slipped all the way back into the reaches of Jaden, who's pushing so hard, but he just cannot put the power down in his BMW, because these rear-wheel drive cars have got quite a lot of front end wash on the high speed turns. So Jaden slowly catching up to the back of MBG, who takes a very interesting line through the chicane, really pushing track limits, I've got to say at this point. But back with Blank and Sculleris. Sculleris will go slightly defensive coming into the complex section, clips the inside curb, which completely unsettles his car, and Blank's able to utilise that once again, like I did earlier, getting as wide as possible on corner entry to get the slingshot out the corner, and soon enough Blank is another place up the field ahead of Sculleris this time round. This would be back with Fapster and MBG quite a few laps later, as there wasn't particularly all too much going on for about 5 laps. MBG would now be right with him, and coming down into the first corner, contact would be made. I'm going to call this a racing incident, but it's going to be down to the management to decide what they reckon, but that would unfortunately put Fapster 2 positions down, as I believe that is the lapped car of Bowtie there in his Mondeo. So Jaden and Method both inherit a place for free. This would be now with Method in his Renault 19 coming on to the second to last lap, I believe now. He would be closing in on Jaden rather rapidly, and we would see a very close battle ensue. This would be the final lap now. Coming out of the complex section, Method would be even closer to the back of Jaden. These guys haven't really had all too many battles through the league so far, but Method, as soon as he's got his car sorted out, he has got the pace to stick with us front guys. He's just had a fair bit of bad luck through the league so far. So your race winner would be Kitu in his Vauxhall Cavalier, claiming his second victory. He's had to wait all the way since the end of round 1 to claim another, but great to see him back on the top of the podium. I would bring the car home in second, which I was very happy with for my current championship position. Then coming back to the battle between Jaden and Method, Jaden had managed to pull a fair bit of a gap through the high speed section. A slight mistake from Method would see that occur, but coming out of the last chicane they would be very close, only 3 tenths between them, as we saw MBG claim third place there. And here comes Fapster in his Mondeo, No Fridge, who would be a lap down, and then Sculleris, I believe. Oh no, it would be Blank who would come home next in 7th, and then it would be Sculleris next along. A rather bland race, but a absolute brilliant track for racing. As we have a look at your championship standings, I would be leading the championship by 6 points at this time, with the battle for third very close. 4 different drivers able to get third, and another really 5 drivers able to get 7th. So it's all really in play for the CRS shootout coming for the top 10 finishers in the championships. We take a look at 13th onwards. So there's really that intense battle between Rusty and Bowtie. Bowtie is now a point ahead after finishing in 9th position, I believe. He was able to gain another point, which is very, very handy for him to get ahead of Rusty in that intense battle for 18th place. Thank you all very much for watching this video then, guys. If you did enjoy, leave a like, and a link to the server, Discord that is, will be in the description below. So thank you all very much for watching, guys, and goodbye.